Hi everyone, my name's Ewan. Welcome to the Over 50s Roadie channel. Now, why is a roadie riding a fat bike? Well, one of the things I like to do off season, and who do Swift when you can ride outside in the scenery? So, beat that, Swift. Okay, so thought I'd shoot this one today. I don't normally do face-to-face, not really my thing, but just trying out some new format stuff today. One question to fellow YouTube cyclists: how do you hold the camera up for so long? My arm's aching and it's only been 30 seconds. Anyway, okay, so today people have been asking before about various things about fat biking, and I thought what I would do today is put together some basic ideas, comments, things that I do, and things that you can do yourself when it comes to fat biking. So new techniques, not the same as riding mountain bikes on a gravel bike, or a road bike obviously, but good fun all the same. So learn some new skills. Hopefully I can do some of those for you today. But let's see how this gets on. I'll see you at the stop. Okay, so what am I riding today? So this is well, obviously it's a fat bike for sure. I mean, pretty obvious. But this is quite an interesting little bike, this one. This is an end-of-line carbon frame. I actually can't remember who made it, if I'm honest. But yeah, it's quite nice. It's a small, obviously. I'm not a big guy. Running XO, SRAM XO, AXS. Running a AliExpress saddle. I know, it's pretty funny, but actually these are really comfortable saddles. I've been really impressed with those. I even have them on my road bikes as well now, so it's kind of funny. Set of, I think these were Elite wheels, I can't remember, but yeah, carbon rims, were they DT Swiss hubs? Can't remember. That's Garbaruk rear cassette, Garbaruk front chainring, as mentioned, the XO, or X1, sorry. Running the Almighties, studded today, like I mentioned that already. Carbon post. Running this thermal bottle. We'll come on to that in a second because, yeah, equipment's kind of important out here. It's rubbish, by the way. Yeah, it keeps it warm, but if you're going out for a 3-hour ride, you are going to find out it's cold by the end. That's my equipment pack, canisters, tools, that type of stuff. Set of carbon bars, usual cockpit. Running Hope brakes, V4 at the front, X2 at the back, usual Garmin computer. You'll notice one omission from the data fields that I record, and that's speed. You really don't need speed on a fat bike at all. It's quite hilarious. Forks are the Lauf Carbonaras. These are quite interesting. I think it's only 20-30 millimeters of travel. You don't notice it, which I think is good, but it does take the edge off when it comes to getting beat up. It's not going to make it a mountain bike. You know, you're still kind of restricted to reds and blues, but it's enough to take the edge off. And there's these are the almighty studs. All right, so pretty obvious, nothing really extraordinary here. Works for me pretty well. I have some power pedals as well. These work pretty well. I say I don't really use power so much. I use heart rate as my preferred measure, mainly because I've had a couple of heart surgeries by now, so that's more my focus. So here we go. I think we'll maybe do a clothing check as well when I get home, mainly because clothing, I think, is one of the most important bits for fat biking. It's if you can stay warm, you can ride all day, and you do have to invest in the right equipment. So I'll maybe touch on that when I get home. Okay, I have some riding to finish, and we'll see section. Now, very tempting here to try and spin your way along here at 90 RPM, like a roadie, like I am, but it's you may end up causing yourself more issues than you should be getting. The reason you don't want to spin too much is on the fat bike, you're going to bounce. It causes a lot of bouncing once you get above a certain RPM. Now, it's a skill to master. You can certainly train that. You can train to be smoother, of course. But it's also quite stabby in the power that you're putting through the rear wheel. So a lot of the time, you're going to want to try and lower your cadence. Stick it in a slightly bigger gear and just roll over this stuff. It keeps your traction smoother, and it also keeps your torque better as well. One of the things you'll learn with riding in the snow is torque is better than power, and being able to torque your way through some of these issues is far more preferable than just creating very spiky power outputs. You have to remember, you are basically a two-stroke engine. You have two legs trying to pump around a circular drivetrain. That is not very efficient. And what it does is it creates spikes in power. And the faster you spin, the more exaggerated those spikes become. And when you do that, you overcome the grip that your tire basically has. Now, one of the other techniques you might want to do here, as you can see, this is very icy conditions here, is actually to ride in the middle, on the crown of the road. We do this because, at least here in Europe, a lot of roads, even the farming roads, are built high in the middle. And this is because they want to create natural drainage and allow the water to run off the roads. So, and the problem with that is it creates camber. And you combine camber with ice, even if you have ice tires, it's going to cause you issues. You're reducing the amount of grip that you have, so you're going to want to try and avoid that as much as you can. Apologies about this. You probably can't see this on the camera. This is about 20%. So I'm just going to try and roll my way up here. This part's okay. It's I can hear that I've got lots of grip, so I'm not going to worry too much about riding in the crown for this particular section. Now, the other reason you might want to ride in the crown is it has snow there. Snow has better grip than ice. Even with studded tires, you're going to want snow over ice anytime. So it's one of the other advantages. And finally, as the road's clears on the tyre tracks, and tarmac is what kills your studs. So if you want to wear out your studs, ride on tarmac. So often it's the middle where the snow still exists and you'll be protecting your studs. Okay, let's have some fun on the descent. I'll ride in the middle. I can hear the ice, so the middle's where I want to be. Not that much snow today, unfortunately. It was quite a lot deeper the last couple of days. It's thinning out a bit now, but it's still good for us. I'd rather be on the fat bike than trying to do this on the gravel bike, for example. It's still going to be really sketchy. But you can just see the camber here on the left side. You can see it's noticeably lower than on the right. So I'm just going to stick in the middle here. Yeah, it takes a bit more effort, but not that much, to be honest. I'd rather spend effort pedaling than stressing about whether I'm going to lose the front on a black ice section. Even with studded tires, that's still a worry, but I mean, I can ride on here just now with the studded tires. I'm getting good grip, I can feel it, but it's nowhere near as good as dry with studless tires. So I'd much rather have my studless tires when it's dry in the summer, but here today, definitely studded today. So, apologies, I've got a long climb ahead. I'll catch you at the top. So, while we climb the hill, maybe give you a chat on the other question that comes up quite a lot is how much grip do you actually have? How do you know how well your tires are working? So this is there is no absolute exact science to this, but there are two simple ways to check your grip levels. So as you can see, I'm climbing this this hill. Underneath the snow is a tarmac road. It's kind of cambered off to the right here, so I'm just going to ride over here. Now, it does mean I'm back in the ice, but there's a nice simple way to check how much grip you're getting from your tires. So, really simple, put it in a bigger gear and just get out the saddle and just climb out the saddle. And what you'll immediately be able to tell is how much slip you're getting from your rear tire. The reason being is you're unloading the tire and climbing out the saddle gives really spiky power delivery. So it's a great way to tell how much traction you actually have. Now, as you could probably hear there, I was able to get out the saddle on ice, up a 10% gradient, and not lose any traction. So that's the studded tires for you. The normal tires, they would probably get me up here, but they would be slipping every time I got out the saddle. And I would be, which is not the end of the earth, but you know, it dents your confidence, especially when it's icy conditions. So, nice simple check, just get out the saddle, especially up a climb, and just feel what the rear tire is doing, because what the rear tire is doing, the front tire will also be doing. So that's it. The other test, nice easy one, is to do a rear wheel skid. So I know that sounds really childish and really simplistic, but actually it's a really nice way of working out how much grip you have. It's if you can lock up easily, then yeah, you have to be careful. But if it takes a bit of effort, then you know your grip levels are good. So, and let's face it, who doesn't like to do a skid every now and then? So, always good fun. So, okay, I'm about halfway up this climb. I'll catch you guys at the top. So, climbing is over. Unfortunately, it now means we are with all the sledgers. Okay, more surface lessons. Now this is about a 20% descent, 20% descent. As you can see, I've picked the central line again. So crown of the road, it's nice, soft snow, because on the left and right there is some ice under that snow, and while I'm sure the tyres would cope no problem, I'm just not going to take a risk when it comes to that. Oh dear. A lot of tourists today. Okay, maybe we'll just resume the lessons after this. Now, this is where the fun begins. Now, snow's much deeper now. Now, the fun part here is this is over 20%, this climb. Now, you'll notice I'm not riding in the centre for this one, because the centre has been chewed up by all the walkers. So what I'm trying to do now is ride in the tyre tracks. I have enough grip, even though it's icy. The studs are doing their job well, but the challenge here is, and let's be honest, it's the one I struggle with, is keeping the bike straight. Is when this gets really narrow, you can be looking at a tyre track wide, and you've got to try and keep your wheel inside of that. Now, on a mountain bike, it doesn't affect you that much, but when your wheel is 4.8 inches wide, that tyre track's almost the same size as your tyre. So there's no real margin for weaving around. So what you're supposed to do here is try and ride relaxed, pick a nice smooth cadence, not too high, just ride nice and smooth, and try and keep your arms loose, and try and keep the wheel as straight as you can. It's kind of tricky. The ice itself introduces cambers, which pulls the wheel slightly, so it can be really challenging, but the studs are doing their job. I've got plenty of traction. I can just pedal normally and just focus on keeping the bike straight and keeping the bars straight as possible. Now, luckily, it looks like there's been a few cars up here, a bit wider than normal. When I came up here yesterday, it was a tyre track wide, and it was quite a job concentrating on keeping your wheel in a straight line. It would be nice to have some flat courses here in Switzerland, but we don't have that luxury. I know the guys in Canada and America, northern states, they get some nice manicured and prepared trails. Would love that here in Switzerland. Would love to do some fat bike racing as well, but the Swiss don't seem to go for some reason. It's a bit of a shame because we've got the terrain for it, as you can probably tell. Lots of climbing. We've got a decent amount of snow, but for some reason, no racing. It's a real shame. So, never mind. I say we're getting near the top of the climb for me. Getting a lot deeper, the snow. As we'll see in a minute, it will get even deeper still. Okay, we're back. Top of the climb done. Now it's through the forest. Now, what you'll notice is I've selected to stay inside the tyre tracks. They are icy. I have good grip, so I'm not sweating this too much. Now, why am I not riding in the centre? It's pretty deep snow, if I'm honest, and at the moment I'm just cruising along here, about 180 watts, zone 2, nice and easy. The difference between riding here in the centre is this is zone 2, that's high zone 3. So to ride at the same speed, yeah, I'm going to be looking at closer to 230, 240 watts just to ride in that snow. So I'll try that now, because why not? Now, the other thing as well is it's pretty chewed up. There's been a lot of people up here, and there's a lot of soft snow, a lot of hard packed bits, and a lot of camber stuff all built in here. So if you're given a choice, pick a tire track, because this type of stuff where the people have been walking, yeah, it's really difficult to keep the wheels straight. So as you can see on the tire line, this is actually really nice. It's nice hard packed snow, nice and smooth, it's consistent. A farmer obviously has been up here with his tractor, and it's nice. It's nice. And as you can tell, I'm actually freewheeling now, so that's the difference between riding that hard pack and riding the center line. So pick your lines as you see them. And so always try and look ahead as well. It's very tempting just to look in front of your wheel, but look ahead, because you may find that your nice little tire track just disappears and you have to choose a different line. Now, like anything on the bike, when I cross lanes here, if I was to cross lanes here, I would there's a very high chance of losing the front. So I'm just going to pick this lane here. Someone's been through this already. Nice and smooth. If I was trying to cut through that as fresh snow, there's a good chance my wheel would end up going in directions I did not actually want. So always try and pick ahead. This is nice. These are nice conditions actually. Got the right tires, got the right pressures. So yeah, it's a nice little ride for me today. No hiker bike. No one likes to push their bike. And yeah, the fat biking, yeah, you're going to do that as well. You're never going to get away from that. But the difference is it's how deep the snow is rather than whether there's snow at all. You can really ride the bike through some quite significant snow, but you're going to want to try and pick the fresh snow where you can. Now we're going to do that on the descent, but I'm just going to finish this section here and I'll catch up with you on the descent. Anyway, so here we are. This is an interesting section. We'll be joining the powder descent shortly, but this one is entertaining. This is a road section. As you can see, it is a descent. You'll notice that a lot of ice here, a lot of ice on this section. So what I'm doing is very simple stuff. I'm moving my brake bias to the back. I'm trying to not use my front brake as much. I'm just trailing my front brake. And I'm using my back brake to try and judge how much traction I actually have, as well as using the brakes to slow me down. And as it turns out, actually I have, as I say, I've got quite a lot of grip here. I can also hear the studs biting, which is good. So overall, pretty happy. There we are, look at that, able to stop pretty simply. And now we're onto the main descent. Now, what you have to be careful of here is getting too fast. You can end up where the front wheel will start to float above the terrain. Now, thankfully, it's okay, it's pretty good. I'm actually biting right through the snow. I can feel the ground underneath. But as soon as you feel the ground, the front wheel disappearing from the ground, you're going to have issues because you're no longer biting into anything substantial. You're just skimming over the top of the snow. And you're not going to be able to steer your bike if that happens, obviously. So, just something to keep in mind. I'll try and do this on the next descent. I've just got another climb to do here. Again, this one's quite technical, so I'm picking the hard packed route. The last thing I need to do is give myself more problems trying to get up a 15% gradient by riding through powder. So I know this is less optimal, but I do have good grip, so I'm actually not sweating this too much. This is okay. So give me a minute or two to get over this, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, back again. Kind of funny. I see other bike tracks here, and they're doing hike a bike. But no hike a bike for us. Thank you very much. Now, another thing to keep in mind is through steep snow, you're going to find your discs get full of water. So you're going to find your brake performance may not be optimal. Now here we are. This is where it gets deeper. I shouldn't really be in these footpaths. They're really distorting. So I'm going to swap over to here where the snow is clear. I got a nice smooth line. Beautiful. As I said, it's just deep enough that I can bite through and I can feel the ground underneath. As soon as I feel that ground disappear, I know my front wheel is floating on the snow, not through it, and I know I'm not getting the traction I should. Now, this mainly only applies to powder, to be fair. Hard packed snow, this is not really going to be your problem. But on this powder, which this is, powder doesn't really give you any traction. It's just like sand. And you're not really, it doesn't matter how wide your tires are, how big your studs are, you're just going to drift. And that's what happens in the powder. So as long as you can feel you're biting through, you're going to do fine. Now, as I said, a lot of people think that you should be running super low pressures and you should be floating on top of the snow. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine if it's hard packed. But when it's powder, you have to bite through it. So you have to keep your pressures reasonable. You're going to be doing that anyway with with studs, because you don't want the tire to deform too much, because you want the studs to bite. So that happens a lot. So we'll get onto a hard packed section soon, and I'll show you what you can actually do with studs when it's hard packed, because you can basically take absolute liberties when it's descending. I'm watching someone's been up here on their mountain bike, and it looks like they've been hike a bike. So sad day for them. I can't wait to see what they've done on the descent on the hard packed, because you really need the big tire for that. Okay, see you shortly. Yeah, here we go. So I'm trying to pick a clean line. I don't want to be in the shoes. I want to be in the clean snow. I go into the bit here, you get your front wheel kicked around. Yeah, and it's not great. Oh look, another climb, yay. Another tip here, follow the tree line. Often the trees hold on to a lot of the snow, so underneath the trees the snow is typically thinner. So useful to know when you're climbing, makes it less challenging. as we're in the trees here. Snow's a fair bit thinner, means I can let the brakes off a bit. A bit crunchy though, that means there's still ice underneath here. But nice bed on top. Nice thick section here. Another thing to watch out for is when you come out of the trees, it will get thicker again. And if you're going too fast, you will skim over the top. You won't dig into it. So just be mindful of your speed as you come in, and all will be well. Oh, farmer has cleared the track. Well, we'll go this way in that case. I see some of my fatbike colleagues have been up here already. This is good. Always a good sign when you see other tracks. And these are fatbike tracks. So I don't know if I'll be catching them today, but here we go. Sticky climb this, so I'll just see you at the top. Oh, welcome back everyone. As you can see, we've made it to the top of the climb. Unfortunately, it's really powdery, which made that quite a challenging climb. It's also going to make it quite a challenging descent. I don't know if the camera will pick this up or not, but there's been a lot of walkers up here, so it's pretty chewed up, which means I'm going to get my wheel kicked everywhere. I think when we join the steeper section, I think I'm just going to ride in the middle. So, in fact, let's do that now. Just cross to the middle. Oh, it's much better. It's harder, but much more controllable when you've got the fresh powder. Now I'm keeping my speed down for the moment, just because I don't want to get too fast in that powder, or I'll start to get a lot of float. You'll start to feel it. You'll feel like, it just feels like you're losing traction with the ground. And that's the giveaway. The bars will go slightly light as well, so just keep an eye out for that, because the effort it takes will change to control the bike. So just need to be a little bit careful how you do this. So I'll stop talking now, and I think we'll ride to the cafe. You can join me on the descent. This is actually wet underneath, not actually ice. Go back on the ice. Yeah, we'll just ride in the middle again. Probably don't want to go that much faster than this. On a dry day, yeah, much faster. But this is about as fast as you really want to go in these conditions, especially when it changes so easily. Yeah, I'm just going to ride on this icy section here. Small climb, and then it's downhill to the cafe. As you can see, I'm trying to keep it exactly within the tire track, but yeah, fat bike tires are enormous. Very difficult to keep it absolutely in the middle. And one thing I do is I ride a relatively high seating position. So my saddle's quite high. That's by design. I'm more interested in torque and power rather than maintaining a roadie cadence. Far better to be able to put power down smoothly and in a big gear than it is to try and spin your way along. As I said, spinning on the fat bike just introduces bounce, and when you're bouncing, you're fluctuating between traction and no traction. So you have to be quite mindful exactly what you're actually doing. I think we might just drop down into this snowy section here. This looks really nice. Nice powdery descent. Now, I hope there's been less people on this section and we get a nice smooth run. Oh, this looks better. This looks better. Yeah. Still a bit of people walking, but wow, it's really loose powder. Reasonably packed here, so it's quite nice. Well, there you go. That's Interesting. Oh no! Oh no, they've taken away the snow. Yeah, not great. It's not what I wanted. Problem is studded tyres, as well as getting worn out on tarmac, they don't actually give you great amounts of grip on tarmac either. Far better to have a normal rubber tyre on tarmac. Yeah, these are not the tyres for tarmac, fortunately. Alright everyone, I think that's me, almost at the cafe. If you have any more ideas as what you want me to do on the fat bike, just write in the comments, that'd be really nice. Until next time, have a good day.